and welcome back to the Property Hustle. In today's interview, we'll be speaking to my friend and fellow property entrepreneur, Stephanie Taylor. Stephanie invests in HMOs, houses in multiple occupations. This is a strategy that a lot of investors use to really maximize returns off of a single property. However, unlike most investors, Stephanie does this with little or none of her own money. Stay tuned to find out how you can do the same. Before I go any further with the interview, be sure to click the subscribe button below and click the bell icon as well so you can get notifications every time I post. So, Stephanie, welcome to the Property Hustle.
Thanks, Faith. It's so good to be here.
I'm so glad that we finally got to do this.
I know.
Do you know what? When I first started this channel, Stephanie was one of the investors that I had in my mind. And I think I wrote your name down. There was one day I was writing all my goals and I was like, I need to get Stephanie on, I need to get TJ on. And I've had both of you on now. So I'm just so glad that you found the time. And for people that don't know, Stephanie doesn't actually live in London. She lives where she invests, which is in
Wales, in Newport, in Wales.
In Wales. So she's here and we've managed to connect. I'm here in London Bridge in this lovely apartment that she's rented off Airbnb actually.
Yeah.
Do you use Airbnb at all with your HMOs?
No. Well, I actually rented it off booking, but yeah.
Okay.
And we don't Airbnb at the moment now.
Okay, fine. So just for the viewers and the audience, could you briefly just say sort of your background, what your strategy is, and why you chose HMOs?
Well, basically, my strategy is investing in HMOs through the rent-to-rent strategy. There's three basic parts to our business now, but the first one, and the one that I'm excited to share with you all, and that Grace mentioned in the introduction, is the rent-to-rent strategy with the HMOs. So we've got our business HMO Heaven, and essentially it's a property management company for HMOs. So for landlords and property owners, we offer a one-stop solution, full property management, and we offer them a guaranteed rent. So what that means from our perspective is that we offer the landlords a guaranteed rent, we charge the tenants a higher but still affordable rent, and after we've paid all our bills we get to keep the additional money, and often that is more than the 10% that a standard letting agent would achieve. So therefore you take a little bit of risk as a rent-to-rent operator, which is what it's called, but you have the potential to make a lot more money. And we find that our that because of the way that we manage the properties, we're able to generate a lot of property cash flow. So it's a strategy that people can use to, like you were saying, if they want to escape from the 9 to 5 and they want to, truly be in charge of their own life and their own destiny, then this is a great way to start without a lot of money.
But would you say that it's a great way to start without a lot of money, but there is a lot of time, effort involved, no? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Well, most people who start it up are starting it up, and we say allow 4 hours a week.
Okay.
Initially, to get it up and running and started, and that also should be more than enough for you to manage one or two properties. I mean, some weeks you're going to have no time at all, and other times, especially at the beginning when you're getting it first set up, you're going to be spending a little bit more. But on average, if you allow 4 hours a week, you could replace your salary working that 4 hours a week rather than your full time, and you're expected to be here and there. So that's one aspect of what we run with HMO Heaven. The other aspect that we have is that since we started doing the rent-to-rent strategy and achieving all that cash flow, we've got somebody working full-time in that business, an assistant property manager. So he's doing the day-to-day tenant and property management. My sister and business partner Nikki is overseeing him in that work, and I am freed up to do other things.
Interviews.
Freed up to do interviews, Tell her I am working hard, very hard work.
Yeah, no, she is an awesome speaker as well. I've seen you speak. I've been on a panel with you at Quasey's event, actually, Slow Money Property. And you're due to launch a podcast as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I wasn't even going to mention that.
No,
but,
please do.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to want to know how they can keep in touch and follow you.
Yeah, follow on. The podcast is going to be called Yes, You Can Invest in Property.
Yeah.
And the reason I wanted to give it that name is because I wanted to convey, if I called it rent to rent, not everybody knows what that means.
Yeah.
But yes, you can invest in property gives the impression it's for people who think that they can't invest in property, and that is exactly what I wanted. And on that podcast, the idea is to share stories of people who started off in property, perhaps with little or just got started, and what strategies they used. It may not be rent to rent; it may be other strategies.
Yeah.
They use.
I'd love to be on that podcast.
I'm so excited about all the
as
interviews.
You should be. I think honestly, for everyone watching now, if you want to follow Stephanie, go into the comments, go into the description box below, and you'll have all of her social medias there. HMO Success. Rent to Rent Success, HMO Heaven, the podcast, everything. Your Facebook, you're on LinkedIn, you're on, what else are you on? Instagram as well. Are you on Instagram?
Not yet, but I will be.
You should be.
I should be. Insta is where
that's your next challenge. By the time I come to be on the podcast, you better be on Instagram.
I better be on there. There's so much to do though. So going back to what we were talking, so we've got the rent to rent business, HMO Heaven. We've also started buying properties, because that's the exciting thing, is you can start off on a cash flow strategy where you don't need a lot of money to start, but you can use that to transition into what I call a wealth creation strategy, where you're actually buying your own assets. And not everybody wants to start in rent to rent or needs to start in rent to rent, but it is a great stepping stone into cash flow. So we are initially, our first target is to buy 50 units. By units I mean either rentable units is we've got a mixture of commercial units, self-contained flats, HMO rooms, and bedsits. So we've got 28 at the moment that we've bought. The properties that we've bought are worth just over £1 million. We are in Wales, but we've got 28 units. But by the time we get to 50, at a conservative level, what we've worked out is that our net cash flow on the owned units will be 100k a year.
Wow.
So we're
100k a year.
Yeah, but we're not there. We're just over halfway. But that's what we're working up to initially, just to start off with. So that's aspect 2 of what we do. And the third aspect is one you've already touched on, is that I'm quite passionate with. I waited. It wasn't waited. It was more that I had the no, you can't. No, you can't have your own business. No, you can't invest in property. And I talked to myself out of things unconsciously without really knowing that I was doing that. And when I started in property in 2016 and realised how powerful it is, I'm passionate about getting that message out there, that other people who are in my situation, who maybe haven't really thought about property investment, maybe think they haven't got enough money to get started in property, that yes, you can get started in property. So we have Rent to Rent Success, which is a Kickstarter coaching program which shows people step by step how to do this strategy if they want to. And there's lots of free resources online, such as the Rent to Rent Success YouTube channel, where people can really either DIY, or if they want to more step by step support, they can join the program. So those are the 3 things.
That's awesome. So just on, if we come back to sort of rent to rent and actually acquiring property. So first of all, I just want to debunk the myth that it's illegal. I think people always associate, well, if you're renting a property and then renting out, are you subletting? Well, technically yes, but I think people don't realise that subletting is always used in a very negative light, but actually subletting is legal. Commercial properties do it all the time, assign leases, sublet. So just talk a bit about that and the actual legalities around the rent to rent. rent-to-rent process?
Yeah, well, basically, as Faith was saying, in commercial property there has been leases, and that's been around for a long time, where a commercial tenant will rent on a longer term basis than the residential tenant, and often the years are 5 years plus, and the commercial tenants have a lot more obligations usually than a normal residential tenant, and that's the same sort of legal structures that we have in place. We have an agreement with the property owner that we will there's two types of agreement that can be used, either a management agreement or a commercial lease agreement. We prefer the lease agreement because it's designed for that. And because of the properties that we are leasing are all either commercial properties or they're licensed HMOs, then the lease agreement works well. For some residential properties and for some types of lending on those residential properties, you do need to use the management agreement. But yes, it's a legal arrangement, and in all that we do, it's all about legal and ethical. It's to be a win-win-win for us, for the property owner, and also for the housemates.
For the housemates living there. What would you say is the sort of biggest hurdle that you've had to face in your journey so far dealing with rent-to-rent HMOs?
I think the biggest hurdle hasn't really come in rent-to-rent.
Oh, okay.
It's come in when we moved away from rent-to-rent.
Okay.
I think when we started in rent-to-rent, I suppose the biggest hurdle to getting started is mindset. It's just believing that this is something that you can do. Even when you see other people doing it, sometimes you think, but is this something I can do? Could I speak to an agent? Could I speak to a landlord? Why would a landlord give a property to me? So, but once you have got over that, because you've actually spoken to an agent and they were actually interested, or you've spoken to a landlord, or you've got a property, then that kind of goes away. And then the other hurdles are kind of very insignificant, like finding out how to onboard your tenants. And once you know the process, it's you sort of finding out little things as you go along, and so the big challenges happened when we started trying to buy properties.
We'll come back to that in terms of buying properties. But so for anyone that's watching this video right now and wanting to get started, I think this is something that I also sort of wondered as well when I was starting out, was like, what is the process of actually acquiring a property for a rent-to-rent strategy? Like, how do you go about finding those landlords who want to or are willing to let you manage their property? So how do you kind of go about doing that?
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you about what to do with landlords and what to do with agents. There's three main ways to find property, so I'm going to tell you those three things, and then I'm going to tell you a little step back from that and what I think you should do first, just to prepare for doing all of this. So the first thing is, we are blessed with, if you're dealing with properties that are already licensed HMOs, we're blessed with the HMO register. All of the councils are obliged by law to provide a full list of all the HMOs within their local authority area and the names and addresses of the property owners. So that's the first thing, write to those property owners and offer your services. So that's number one. The second way to get properties is to talk to letting agents, because obviously they have a flow of properties coming through their doors as well. And if you can develop good relationships with them, you can provide exactly what letting agents want. What letting agents want is their fees paid. That's
number one.
Yeah. And that's something that you will need to explain explicitly and briefly, that their fees will still be paid as normal. So they want their fees paid, the rent paid, the property looked after, and the other thing that they want that people often forget is that they want minimal risk in the transaction. They don't want to look a fool if something goes wrong. So that's where we need trust in that relationship, and that doesn't take long to establish, but it's very important for people to remember that in every communication with the agent, you want to be showing that you do what you say you're going to do, and that you're trustworthy and reliable, and that they would be
and that's where that confidence comes in, isn't it?
With you.
Yeah. So you said there's something before that you would need to do to prepare.
So where I think the third one is, just to complete it, so you've got your landlord letter, so you're going direct to landlord. You've got your agents, so you're talking to agents, and the third one is that do not hide, because this is what people do. I encourage people to do three things: dream bigger, be bolder, and be a game changer.
Wow.
The be bolder is because people hide, and it's a normal, natural human reaction. I do it myself.
Yeah.
But what you'll find is I'll be talking to somebody and they'll say they're in property and they've had this property business for 2 years. But if you go on their Facebook, there's no sign of any property mentioned, but they don't want their family to know, or they don't want their work colleagues to know. But if you're going to do this, you have to be prepared to let people know, and to be
visible.
And just start where you are with what you have and do what you can. So I'm not saying that you go from doing nothing at all to doing Facebook Lives every day.
No.
But initially you can just change your Facebook so it says about your property.
Or something.
You can put a few pictures of properties on there, and you gradually warm up. You start where you are, do what you can. So you take the next step from where you are. So those are the three ways that you find the properties. Stepping back from that, and what you do beforehand is find out the basics about the strategy. Now you can do that there's lots of free resources online, lots of different YouTube channels, this one, and if it's specifically about rent to rent, then you've got the Rent to Rent Success YouTube channel.
I highly recommend you go and follow Rent to Rent Success, because I follow it and I've learnt so much from it, so
Thanks Faith. And we also have a free guide and a free training that people can do, a free online training just to get the basics and the overall strategy. So I really recommend that you understand the basics of the strategy, because that just feeds your confidence. The next thing I want you to do is just to write down the basics of the service that you're offering. So before you start actually approaching landlords and agents, just write down a few bullet points and rehearse it so that you can say it in a couple of minutes. What is the service that you offer? Because then when you're speaking with people, it's just so natural.
Would you advise people calling up agents in areas that they don't want to invest in so that they can practice? Because I think that could be a scary hurdle, just even picking up the phone and speaking to someone.
I think it can be. I think if people feel that they need to do that, why not? I find it difficult if I know that it's not something I want to put myself into it. I would prefer just to practice offline and then
just go for it.
But that's just me, and also I take a very simple approach to speaking to agents. I don't have a convoluted story and backstory that doesn't make sense. So I just encourage people to know it themselves, believe it themselves, rehearse it themselves, and then call the agents that they're interested in, and with a very simple approach.
You speak a lot on your channel and the interviews that I've heard you speak in about the power of systemizing and having structure to your business, which is rent to rent in this case. Can you talk to us a little bit about what systems you've got in place that have allowed you to 10x or to for your business to grow as much as it has?
Well, the thing that people sometimes say to me is that I look so relaxed. Well,
you do actually. You never look stressed, and I'm here like
but that is partly because of how we set up the business. I'm no longer in that day-to-day part of the business because we've got the systems. So I'll talk about the systems, and then I'll talk about a simple way to get started in outsourcing. So maybe somebody's already got a few HMOs at the moment and it's all got a bit on top of them.
Yeah.
And they just think, oh, I don't know where to start, and it's a bit too overwhelming to actually take the first step. So an easy way is to just use an online property management system. Now, we have used Arthur because that was what was available when we were setting up the business. It's a very sophisticated system, it's quite large, it's quite expensive, but it's worthwhile, and it's too much for us at the moment to want to change. But another one is GoTenant, and that's a bit more user-friendly, I think you would say, a bit more intuitive, a bit more easy to learn and easy to understand. So that's the one that we recommend to people to start using, because the magic of it is that every bit of information for all of your properties and all of your tenants is in one place.
Yeah. See, I'm still on a USB stick, and it's driving me mad. So I might need to search this GoTenant.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just having it all in one place, and I imagine that then it becomes easy when it comes to like bookkeeping and submitting your accounts, because it's all in one platform. Yeah.
And we use this there's a separate account for bookkeeping, but yeah, I do recommend that you do that. So the great thing about that, once you've got all your information within GoTenant, or even you could ask your virtual assistant to put the information in there, because they put training videos on how to
use GoTenant.
They've got all of that, how to upload all the information, so you could provide your information to your virtual assistant and have them upload all the information into GoTenant, and that means that you can oversee it from holiday or from wherever you are, and have somebody else who's actually updating it and keeping it fresh. And that's a nice way to do things if you're not ready to actually take on an employee full time, but you just don't want to do the paperwork. So what we did, before we employed a full-time member of staff, we had a VA, and she obviously did everything within Arthur, set up the properties in Arthur, put all the documents in there, the gas cert, the electric cert, and everything. When we're setting up a new property, she would have a list of all the documents that she needed to put within there. The main thing we used her for was the tenant onboarding process. So we had a step-by-step process of what we did, and she actually implemented that, but she did it in such a way that it was all on Google Drive and in Arthur, so that we could oversee at any time
what was going on.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that you mentioned there that you guys had gone through it first. You'd almost gone through the fire, had got, know the different steps, and then you were able to hand that over to a virtual assistant who was then able to replicate it. Because I think if you don't have a system, that's the great thing about creating a system, is then it can just be duplicated by someone who's not you. Hence why you can be so hands off.
And now we've got Luke who's full time, and he picked up the reins there and took over that. And he's added his own things on now.
Oh wow!
And which is just an amazing feeling. But he's, for example, one of the things that he added on was Google reviews. So in the last few months, he's got us up to 50 reviews on Google from tenants, because he.
Oh, so he's like actively asked the tenants to review you, and then
And obviously he can do that because he's providing a great service to them, because obviously you can't ask people.
No, exactly. That's it. Please review me. Just make up a lie. It's fine. Okay, cool. If people want to contact you and reach you, what's the best method for them to reach you?
Okay, so if you're interested in getting started with Rent to Rent, then I think Rent to Rent Success YouTube channel. And also go to rent2rentsuccess.com, because we've got the free info on there. There's a free guide and there's a free online training, and that's all the basics to get started. From there, you'll be able to book a call with me, and I can walk you through if you've got any questions or anything like that. For just property investing in general, check us out at hmoheaven.co.uk. And if you want to message me and just ask a question or say, I watched you on I watched you on the Property Hustle, hey, then send me an email, send me a Facebook message. I'm at Stephanie Taylor UK, because my personal Facebook is full.
Yeah, too many friends.
Too many friends.
Yeah.
But Stephanie Taylor UK is my Facebook page. Send me a message. I'd love to hear from any property hustlers.
Yeah. And she's also got your groups as well on Facebook.
Oh
haven't you?
I do.
I'm in those groups. That's why I remembered.
Yeah, Rent to Rent Success Secrets on Facebook, and also we've got HMO Heroes on Facebook as well.
All of these will be in the description box below, so be sure to subscribe and follow as well. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Honestly, I feel like you've given me a wealth of knowledge. I just thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for asking me. It's been lovely to be here.
And if I'm ever in Wales,
you need to come to Wales.
I need to come to Wales. I need to see these properties that you can buy for like 100k.
You do.
Definitely. Well, unfortunately, that is it for this interview. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for new content every week. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.